This story is called Free. When I was just a little girl, I asked my mama, what would I be? Of all of the possible answers she could have given, the answer she seemed to want most for my life was her favorite F word. All she wanted me to be was fine. She taught me that fine was the one universal word applicable to all of life's circumstances, no matter what. She modeled the proper use of the word over and over again. Some lessons are long in coming, but Mama caught on quick. My daddy lied to her many times about stepping out at night and where he was headed. It turns out he was headed straight into another woman's arms again and again. So I asked my mama how she survived. She told me Jesus said turn the other cheek, and so she did. And that was fine by her, until my daddy kept turning his cheeks as well in some other woman's sheets. Mama told me he was mighty sorry every single time and spoke a tall tale of woe, begging her forgiveness pert near every time he got caught. So Mama added, Jesus said to forgive 70 times 7, and so since there was a lot more room for error, she figured she'd best keep at it. Under the circumstance, she believed that was the finest thing to do of all. A little later on, Daddy got a lot less repentant and a lot more mean. He told her he would have stayed with her if she had given her a blowjob for an hour just like the other women did. No matter. Grandpa always told her that when men turned 40, they stopped cheating and changed their behavior. So she patiently waited for that transformation to come. Through the years, I could not believe how Mama managed to keep it all together. She just got finer and finer, but he just got meaner and meaner. He called her every name in the book. Sometimes we thought he was going to kill her, and us kids too, but his violent tendencies didn't seem to lessen her resolve to remain perfectly fine for the sake of her children at all times. She learned tricks to keep us safe, like how to walk on eggshells. She practiced all kinds of rules, like never talk back. We learned a lot about not talking about it. She'd always tell me not to think so much, and that was Mama's little secret for keeping things fine. One fine day, Mama stopped being so accommodating, and just like that, she threw out the word fine and daddy all at the same time. She had stuffed his boots with newspaper because he said he was going hunting for the weekend. When he returned, unbeknown to him, she checked his boots and the newspaper was still in them. What was done was done. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. And although it took her 21 years to say she was not fine any longer, Mama finally understood the truth. There's nothing fine about abuse. In one moment of sanity, she learned another F word. Free. I can still see her spinning round and round in the kitchen saying, I'm free, like a bird out of the cage. I'm free. Mama was a great twirler. I was happy to see Mama twist and turn in such jubilation. Mama said she would never forgive my daddy ever again for as long as she lived. She said one day I'd understand. She hoped that one day he would get it in the end. Seemed like Mama needed a theme song. Unforgivable, sung to the tune of Unforgettable by Nat King Cole. Unforgivable, that's what you are. Unforgivable, your every scar. Like a surge of pain that clings to me, how the thought of hate does things to me. Never before has someone hurt more. Unforgivable in every way. Unforgivable, your wounds will stay. That's why, darling, it's regrettable. Your abuse was unforgettable. That's why you are unforgivable, too. I guess you could say Mama felt partially compensated. Daddy suffered a massive brain stem stroke at 55 and lost the ability to do pert well everything. Although therapy restored him to some degree, he still died at 63 years young. Her retribution finally felt complete. As best as she could figure, he got what he deserved. Mama never came to his funeral. She told me she vowed to never cry another tear for that man as long as she lived. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. Is it any wonder that I developed a man-hating spirit after watching my daddy cheat on my mama all those years? I actually sobbed when I wrote the next parody called Plastic Doll. My daddy never did apologize to me for stepping out on mama repeatedly or for not being the man he should have been. Perhaps that is why all men inevitably became toxic to me. I couldn't trust them as far as I could throw them, and that was all his fault. He had a lot to answer for. Once I asked my mama why she stayed all of those years. She simply said, some dad was better than no dad at all, and she didn't want us to grow up in the projects. This parody is dedicated to all the women who tolerate abuse for the sake of security, living with an abusive spouse and forfeiting a happy home. May they too one day break free. Plastic Doll, sung to the tune of Paper Doll by the Mills Brothers. I'm gonna buy a plastic doll that I can call my Ken, the kind that ain't like any other men. And when I open him with awe, there's one tiny, tiny flaw. His little piece is missing, that is all. No infidelity, no more adultery, though standing stiff, unready to perform. I'd rather buy a plastic doll that comes without one part than have a real man that I must jump-start. Well, I guess I've known a million men or more whose lying, cheating lives I do abhor. Lust leads them astray, that's all I can say. For other sexual objects that engage in foreplay, well, I tell you, gals, it's best to live alone than be betrayed by a bastard of your own. I'm through with men this week, out turning others' cheeks. Hey, gals, what you gonna do? You ought to buy a plastic doll that you can call your Ken, the kind that will be faithful to the end. And then the fantasy he'll steal will be harmless, nothing real. He'll have to live off more than sex appeal. When I come home at night, he will be smiling, ready to relate to your heart, dear. I'd rather buy a plastic doll without one part, I fear, than have a real guy who's a dick all year.